The rain had started early that evening in Portland, steady and cold. Linda Carter stood by her kitchen window, stirring a pot of soup, humming softly to fill the silence. At 65, she found comfort in routine, cook clean and wait for her son Ryan to call. Then the phone rang. "Ryan's in the hospital," said a woman's voice, calm, detached. It was Vanessa Ryan's wife accident. "Come if you want." Before Linda could speak, the line went dead. She dropped the spoon, grabbed her coat, and ran into the rain. The drive to St. Mary's Hospital blurred in headlights and panic. Every red light felt like an eternity. When she arrived, the smell of disinfectant and the echo of hurried footsteps filled her chest with dread. "My son Ryan Carter," she asked breathlessly. "Room 312. Ma'am." Linda half ran down the corridor, her shoes squeaking on the polished floor. Each step brought memories. Ryan as a boy with scraped knees, promising he'd always take care of her. As she reached for the door, a firm hand caught her wrist. "Ma'am, please don't go in," whispered a nurse. Her badge read Maria Alvarez. Her eyes were calm but urgent. "You need to hide for a moment. Trust me." Before Linda could answer, Maria gently pushed her into the next room. Wilvan and shut the door. Linda stood frozen in the dark through the small window. She saw shadows moving in the hallway. Then she heard a voice, familiar, sharp, and cold. "Vanessa, what's taking so long?" she said to someone unseen. "I want this done before morning." Linda pressed closer to the door, heart pounding. Something deep inside told her this wasn't an accident. It was something far worse. Linda's pulse thudded in her ears. She pressed her back to the wall, afraid to breathe through the narrow crack of the door. She saw two silhouettes standing near room 312. Vanessa's voice was unmistakable, cool and precise. "Make sure the documents are ready before sunrise." "I don't want to delay the transfer again," a man answered. His tone was confident, professional. "They'll be signed in your favor. Power of attorney, banker C. Cess everything. If he wakes up confused, we'll call it trauma." Linda's breath caught transfer, power of attorney. Her son wasn't even conscious, and they were already dividing his life. Vanessa gave a quiet laugh. "Finally, some peace. Once it's over, I'll move to Seattle. I can't stand this place anymore." Linda felt dizzy. She clutched the doorknob, terrified she might scream over. What did she mean by over? The man lowered his voice. "You said he's on medication." "Yes," Vanessa replied. "I've been giving it to him for months, just crushed pills in his juice." No one noticed. Linda's knees gave out. She slid against the wall, hand over her mouth to stifle a cry. The door behind her creaked open again. Maria stepped in, closing it quickly. Her face was pale but focused. "Stay quiet," she whispered. "You're safe here." Linda grabbed her arm. "She's hurting him. She's killing my son." Maria nodded, voice steady. "I know, I've suspected it for weeks." "What?" Maria's eyes darkened. "His symptoms don't match the report she gave the doctors. I've seen this before, anticoagulant poisoning. It mimics heart failure." Linda stared at her, horrified. "You mean she's been—" "Yes," Maria said quietly, "and we're going to stop her." She handed Linda a small recorder. "We already have part of her confession, but we need more if you can distract her later. Keep her talking. We'll catch everything on camera." Linda's tears blurred her vision. "Tell me what to do." Maria's hand squeezed hers. "Act natural, pretend you don't know. Tonight you become the mother who saves her son's life." Minutes later, the hallway grew quiet again. The two voices had faded, but their words echoed in Linda's mind, each one like a knife. Maria leaned closer. "They're gone for now, but she'll come back soon. You'll have to stay calm when you see her." Linda nodded shakily. "I can do that for Ryan." Maria exhaled and lowered her voice. "Listen carefully. I've already alerted Dr. Stevens in toxicology. He's running blood tests. If they confirm my suspicion, we'll have proof she's poisoning him." Linda's E. Yes widened. "How long do we have?" "Maybe hours," Maria said. "She's been increasing the dosage. He might not survive another night if she adds more." A sharp knock startled them both. A young nurse peeked in. "Maria, they're asking for you in the lab." Maria nodded. "Go to your son." She whispered to Linda, stay with him, but don't let her sense fear play along. Every second matters. Linda wiped her face, took a trembling breath, and stepped out of room 311. The corridor seemed endless. When she entered Ryan's room, the soft beeping of the monitors almost broke her heart. Her son lay pale and motionless, his chest rising faintly under the thin hospital blanket. Vanessa sat beside him, scrolling through her phone, as if she were waiting for a train, not guarding her dying husband. Linda forced a smile. Hi, dear. Vanessa looked up, surprised. You came? Of course he's my son, Linda said, moving closer to the bed. Vanessa's tone was smooth. Doctor said it's just stress. His heart gave out from overwork. Linda nodded, pretending to believe he's always been that way, worked too hard, cared too much. Vanessa crossed her legs. He never listens, but once he's gone, at least he'll rest. Linda's stomach turned, but she kept her face still. You're right, she said softly. We all need rest. Vanessa smiled faintly. Exactly. Linda brushed a strand of hair from Ryan's forehead, whispering so low only she could hear. Hold on, my love, I'm here. Then she looked up, meeting Vanessa's eyes. Would you like some coffee? I'll stay with him while you get some. Vanessa hesitated, then nodded and left the room. The door closed. Linda turned toward the hidden camera above the bed and whispered, We've got her. Maria, hurry. Maria returned minutes later, holding a tablet and a file. Her face was serious but calm. The lab confirmed it. She whispered, Warfarin. It's a blood thinner used for heart patients, but in large doses it causes internal bleeding. Your son didn't have a heart condition. She's been poisoning him. Linda's throat tightened. Can he survive? Yes, but only if WW. Act fast. Dr. Stevens is preparing an antidote. We just need to keep her here until the police arrive. Linda looked at Ryan, his hand cold in hers. She almost killed him, she said through tears. She smiled at me while doing it. Maria's expression softened. I know I've seen this kind of evil before. She paused, her voice quieter now. My sister died from the same thing. Her husband did it for insurance money. I couldn't save her, but tonight I can save your son. Linda met her eyes. You're an angel. Maria. Maria gave a faint smile. Not an angel, just someone who's tired of watching good people suffer. She placed a small microphone inside Linda's sweater collar. If she comes back, let her talk. Don't interrupt, just nod. Everything will be recorded. Linda took a deep breath, steadying herself. I'll do it. Maria nodded and turned toward the door. I'll be right outside. You're not alone, Mrs. Carter. When she left, Linda sat beside Ryan's bed again. The room was quiet, except for the soft rhythm of the heart monitor. She traced her fingers over his palm, whispering, Stay with me, sweetheart. I've waited your whole life to protect you. Don't leave me now. The door handle turned. Vanessa was back. Vanessa walked in carrying a cup of coffee, her expression perfectly composed. Here, she said, handing it to Linda. I figured you'd need it. Linda accepted it with a trembling smile. Thank you, dear. You've been through so much. Vanessa sighed and sat down again, pretending to look exhausted. It's been horrible. The doctors keep saying they can't promise anything. Sometimes I wonder if he'll ever wake up. Linda stared at Ryan's still face, forcing her voice to stay steady. He's strong, he'll fight. Vanessa smirked slightly. I thought so too, but maybe it's better if he rests. He suffered enough. Linda's hand gripped the edge of the bed. You really think so? Vanessa shrugged. Sometimes. Love means letting go. Linda leaned forward, nodding slowly. That's a beautiful way to put it. Vanessa's eyes softened, confidence returning. I'm glad you understood. And it's been lonely, taking care of him, managing everything. No one realizes how hard it's been on me. You've done your best, Linda said gently. He was lucky to have you. Vanessa gave a small, self-satisfied smile. Yes, he was. Linda's gaze flicked toward the corner where she knew the hidden camera was. Maria would be recording everything. She just needed to keep her talking. I suppose you've had to handle all his finances too. Of course, Vanessa said easily. Someone had to. I couldn't let his work go to waste. Linda tilted her head, feigning curiosity. You're so organized. Did you do all the paperwork yourself? Mark helped, Vanessa replied, before realizing she'd said too much. He's an attorney friend. Linda nodded, her tone calm. Oh, that's smart. I'm sure Ryan would have trusted you completely. Vanessa's smile returned. He did too much, maybe. At that moment, Linda's heart pounded. She'd heard enough. Maria had enough. All that was left was time. Vanessa stood smoothing her dress. I'll step out for some air. Linda forced a kind smile. Of course, take your time. As soon as the door closed behind her, Linda whispered toward the hidden mic. Maria, she confessed, please hurry. Seconds later, the hallway outside filled with quiet movement. Shoes scuffing against tile. Voices whispering orders. Linda stayed by Ryan's side, pretending to adjust his blanket, her heart pounding in her ears. The door opened. 2 uniformed officers stepped in, followed by Dr. Stevens and Maria. Their faces were grave but composed. Vanessa froze in the doorway, coffee cup still in hand. Mrs. Vanessa Carter. One officer said firmly, Please step away from the patient. Vanessa blinked, then forced a nervous laugh. What's this about? I'm his wife. Dr. Stevens held up a clear IV bag. This was replaced an hour ago with a solution laced with warfarin, a dose that would have killed him. Within hours, Vanessa's face went pale. That's insane. I don't even know what that is. Maria stepped forward, pressing play on a small recorder. The room filled with Vanessa's voice, cold and unmistakable. I add it to the IV when nurses aren't looking. It'll look like a heart attack. No one will ever know. The colour drained completely from Vanessa's cheeks. That's not someone edited. The officer cut her off. You have the right to remain silent. As they pulled her hands behind her back, Vanessa twisted toward Linda, eyes blazing with hatred. You think you've won? You're nothing, you'll lose him anyway. Linda stood tall, voice steady. I'm his mother and mothers don't quit. Vanessa's scream echoed down the corridor as the officers led her away. Silence filled the room once more. Maria turned to Linda. It's over. We caught her in time. Linda sank into the chair beside Ryan's bed, tears falling freely. She took his hand and whispered, You hear that, sweetheart? It's over. You're safe now. Outside, thunder rolled softly in the distance. But for the first time that night, Linda felt peace. The hours after Vanessa's arrest passed in a blur of exhaustion and relief. Linda refused to leave her son's side. The chaos of the hospital quieted, leaving only the hum of machines and the rhythmic beeping that meant Ryan was still alive. Maria stopped by occasionally, bringing tea or a blanket, but Linda barely noticed. She just sat there watching Ryan breathe. Every rise and fall of his chest felt like a gift. Sometime past midnight, the rain returned, soft, steady, comforting. Linda looked out the window and whispered, We made it through the storm. Ryan, now you just need to wake up. Her mind drifted through memories. Ryan learning to ride a bike, his proud grin at graduation, his first day at work when he said, Don't worry, Mum. I'll always take care of you. And he had until he met Vanessa. The thought hurt, but Linda refused to let bitterness win. At 3 a.m., Ryan stirred his fingers, twitched beneath hers. Linda gasped and leaned closer. Ryan, can you hear me, sweetheart? His eyelids fluttered, then settled again, but that tiny movement gave her all the hope she needed. Maria entered moments later, saw Tikai. He motioned and smiled. That's a good sign, she whispered. The antidote is working. He's fighting back, Linda nodded, clutching his hand. He's always been a fighter. As the first light of dawn crept through the blinds, she rested her head on his arm and whispered, You're almost home, Ryan. Come back to me. Outside, the rain stopped. The world was quiet again, as if holding its breath for the moment, when Ryan Carter would finally open his eyes. When morning sunlight spilled into the room, Linda woke to the faintest pressure on her hand. She blinked, unsure if she was dreaming, until she saw Ryan's fingers tighten around hers. Ryan, she whispered. His eyelids fluttered, then opened slowly. His voice came out rough and faint. "Mom," Linda's breath hitched. "Oh, sweetheart, you're awake." She brushed his hair back, laughing and crying all at once. Ryan looked around the room confused. Where am I?" "You're in the hospital," she said softly. "You had a reaction to something, but you're safe now," he frowned. "Vanessa." "Where is she?" Linda hesitated. "She won't be coming back." His brows drew together. "What do you mean?" Maria stepped into the room, her expression kind but firm. "Mr. Carter, you've been very ill, but you're going to recover. The people responsible for this can't hurt you anymore." Ryan's voice cracked. "People responsible." Linda took his hand gently. "Ryan, it was Vanessa. She wasn't taking care of you. She was poisoning you slowly for months." He stared at her speechless. Then he turned his face away, his eyes glistening. "No, she couldn't." Maria shook her head. "I'm sorry, but it's true we caught her last night," she confessed on tape. Ryan's shoulders trembled. 7 years, he whispered. "I gave her everything." Linda squeezed his hand. "You gave her trust. She gave you pain, but now you have your life back." Tears spilled down his cheeks. "I don't deserve you, Mom." She smiled through her own tears. "Nonsense, you're my son. You always will be." The heart monitor kept its steady rhythm, stronger now each beat, a reminder that Ryan Carter had survived the darkness that tried to take him. 2 weeks later, the hospital looked different. The tension was gone, replaced by warmth and routine. Ryan was walking again, slow but steady, each step a small victory. Detective Ruiz visited him that afternoon. Her tone was firm but kind. "Mr. Carter, Vanessa Mitchell, your wife has been charged with attempted murder, fraud, and identity theft. She's facing a long sentence." Ryan sat silently absorbing the words. "Mitchell?" He repeated that wasn't even her real name. Ruiz shook her head. "No, she's used at least 3 aliases. You weren't her first victim, but you'll be her last." Linda sat beside her son, holding his hand. "It's over now," she whispered. Ryan looked at her eyes full of guilt. "I'm sorry, Mom, for shutting you out, for believing her lies." Linda smiled gently. "You were in love, Ryan. That's not something to apologize for." When Ruiz left, Maria stopped by. She looked tired but happy. "The lab confirmed it. Without your mother's courage, you might not be here." Ryan reached for Maria's hand. "You saved my life." She shook her head. "No. Your mother did. I just helped her finish the fight." Later that evening, as the sun set behind the hospital windows, Linda and Ryan sat quietly together. The world outside glowed golden peaceful. Ryan spoke softly. "I think I understand now what real love looks like," Linda smiled. "It's not always gentle. Sometimes it fights like hell to protect what matters." He nodded slowly. "Then you're the bravest person I know." For the first time in a long while, Linda laughed, a full, genuine laugh that filled the room. The storm had passed, justice was done, and the Carters could finally start over. 6 months later, the Carters stood outside, a small house near Portland's edge. The air smelled of pine and sea salt, and sunlight danced across the front porch. Ryan turned the key in the lock and smiled at his mother. "It's not much," he said, "but it's ours, a fresh start." Linda looked up at the simple white house, her eyes warm. "It's perfect, Ryan. It already feels like home inside." Half-unpacked boxes filled the living room. A photo of Linda and Ryan as a boy sat on the mantel, a reminder of everything they'd survived. Over the months, Ryan had been rebuilding his life piece by piece. He sold the company tied to Vanessa's name and began working with a nonprofit, helping victims of fraud rebuild their finances. "If my story can save one person," he told his mother, "it's worth it." Linda found her own purpose too. With Maria's help, she launched the Second Chance Network, a small foundation that offered support and legal resources to families trapped in manipulation or abuse. "People need to know they're not alone," Linda said during a community meeting. "Sometimes survival starts with speaking up." When the local paper published their story, neighbors began dropping by with flowers, and letters of thanks. Linda never saw herself as a hero, just a mother who refused to give up. That evening, as the sun dipped low, she and Ryan sat on the porch drinking tea. The air was calm golden. Ryan said softly. "You think we'll ever stop looking over our shoulders?" Linda smiled. "Maybe not, but we'll keep walking forward anyway." He nodded, watching the sunset. "You know, Mom, I think this is what peace feels like." Linda squeezed his hand. "Yes," she whispered, "and we earned it." A year later, Linda stood at a small community centre podium, facing a room full of people. Her voice was calm, clear, carrying the kind of strength that only comes from surviving. "What should have broken you? When I found out what my daughter-in-law was doing, she began, I thought my life was ending, but the truth is it was just beginning. Because sometimes what's meant to destroy you becomes what defines you." The audience listened in silence. Many had lived their own versions of her story: betrayal, manipulation, loss. Some nodded through tears. Behind Linda sat Ryan and Maria. Smiling proudly, they had turned pain into purpose. The Second Chance Network had grown, helping dozens of families find safety and justice. Linda continued, "I learned that love isn't about keeping quiet or pretending everything is fine. Real love tells the truth. Real love fights back." Her words hung in the air for a moment before the crowd broke into gentle applause. After the event, Ryan met her outside, by the car. "You were incredible, Mom," he said, beaming. She chuckled. "You say that every time?" He laughed. "Because it's true. You're helping people heal. You're helping me heal." As they drove home, the evening sky glowed orange and pink. When they arrived, Linda paused by the garden. Ryan had planted a patch of daisies and lavender with a small wooden sign that read, "For Mom, the strongest woman I know. Dot." She smiled, touched the flowers gently, and whispered, "You did good, son." That night, sitting on the porch beneath a sky full of stars, Linda spoke softly to the quiet world around her. "If someone hurts you, speak. If someone doubts you, stand. You are stronger than your scars." And with that, Linda Carter closed her story, not as a victim but as a survivor, a mother, and a light for others still lost in the dark. There's a strength that only women carry, the quiet kind that grows through years of sacrifice, love, and being underestimated. We are not weak when we choose peace. We are wise when we wait, and powerful when we decide that enough is enough. Respect is not asked for. It's commanded by the way we rise after being pushed down. This story is a reminder. You can scatter my things, but you'll never scatter my spirit. Thank you for watching this video. Share your thoughts in the comments. I truly value every story and every voice. Don't forget to subscribe to Tears and Strength and share this video with your friends.